Hello, welcome to this Telecom Shop tutorial. Here we're going to look at how you make telephone calls over the internet using VoIP and SIP. But first, let's have a quick look at what VoIP and SIP actually stand for. So first of all, VoIP. VoIP stands for Voice over Internet Protocol, and SIP stands for Session Initiation Protocol. For the purposes of this session though, I'll be referring to them both as IP systems. The word protocol is often used when it comes to internet communication, so let's just take a quick look at what the word protocol means in this context. It's simply a set of rules that govern how the elements of a particular technology speak to each other. It just makes sure that all the bits of the technology are talking the same language. So SIP and VoIP simply govern the setup and transmission of voice calls over the internet. Now, it's important to remember that while IP systems are clearly designed to make telephone calls over the internet, and therefore they can communicate with other IP systems, they can also communicate with traditional networks and also via the mobile networks, so they can communicate with all types of different devices. Now, traditionally, telephone calls were made using something called circuit switching, and this is where a circuit is created. First of all, when you lift up the handset and make communication with the network, you hear a dialing tone to tell you that you're in contact with the public network. That network will then transfer your call to the recipient's phone. When the recipient lifts their receiver, a circuit is created, and the circuit remains open throughout the whole of the two-way communication. When the receiver is replaced, the circuit is broken and the call comes to an end. Now, with IP systems, a system called packet switching is in use, and this is where your voice is broken down into small packets of data which are transmitted via the internet using much the same system as, say, a music file or an email would be transmitted. They may not all go the same way, but they will all end up at the recipient's phone. And when they get to the recipient's phone, they will be reassembled back into your voice. So when you make a telephone call, your extension will be linked to your telephone system, and your telephone system will make that call via either a traditional line or a mobile network, or via the internet to the person that you're trying to get hold of. And that system is often known as a PBX, or private branch exchange system, and it can combine both traditional telephony and IP telephony. It will usually be located in your physical premises. But there's now an alternative, and that's something called a hosted PBX. Now, a hosted PBX isn't located at your premises at all. It's actually linked to your premises via the internet, but it's held in the cloud. Now, if you're going to introduce internet calling into your communications, there are a number of areas that you'll need to consider. And the first one of those is bandwidth. Does your current internet connection have enough bandwidth? If you're not certain, you'll need to check with your service provider to make sure that it's sufficient for what you want to do with it. Another thing you'll need to check is your router. Does your router have the capability, the quality and the power it needs for internet calling? A lot of really good IP systems can be let down by the use of a poor router. Now, with data, there are a number of things you need to consider. You'll have voice data, and then there'll be other data such as emails. Now, you can have it so that voice and emailing and other data use is equal, or you can have it so that voice data is given a greater priority. Now, if you've got a slightly larger organisation, you might decide to have separate internet connections for voice and data. So there are many advantages to making telephone calls over the internet, and one of those advantages is the wide range of phones and devices that you can get to make those telephone calls. So we're going to look at some of those now. And first of all, we'll look at the IP phone. Now, an IP phone has all the software and hardware that you need to make an internet call, and it will connect directly to your router. It looks pretty much like a traditional phone sitting on your desk, and it will have all the functionality that you would expect from a business telephone. And that functionality will include things like call forward, hold, it will have the hands-free speaker facility, it will have the speed dialing facility, and it will have an LCD screen which will help you with navigating all the different functions, as well as giving you useful call information. Now, as well as an IP phone, you can get a Wi-Fi phone. Now, whereas an IP phone will connect to your router using a wire, your Wi-Fi phone will connect to your router wirelessly. So it will have all the functions of your IP phone, but it's particularly useful for people who are moving about within your workplace. Another option is a soft phone. Now, a soft phone is really a virtual phone, and you can get it on either your computer or on your laptop. and it will be using the microphone and speakers within your computer or laptop to make the telephone calls. But again, on the screen it will look and function like a normal phone. And it's useful again because people can use it either in the office or when they're out and about on the move. A further option is an ATA. It's an analog telephone adapter. Now this will make your normal traditional phone into an IP phone so that it can connect to your router. So that's an ATA, an analog telephone adapter. Now there are many other devices that you can use to make internet phone calls, and that would include tablets as well as a range of different smartphones. Another area to consider is the area of power and how power is provided to your IP system. Now, it can be done using a traditional system, or it can be done using something called Power over Ethernet, or PoE. Now, Power over Ethernet is where power and data are provided in the same cabling. Whichever of these you choose, it's important to remember that any kind of power failure can be really devastating for your communication system, because obviously you need power to your phones and to your telephone system and to your router to be able to continue to make calls. So we would always recommend that you have something called a UPS, or a universal power supply, which will give you that power backup in the event of a power failure. And it will mean that your power will continue from your power supply to your units even when there's an external power failure. Okay, so now we're going to look at some more advantages of using the internet to make telephone calls. And one of those advantages is in the area of cost. Costs using the internet to make telephone calls should be significantly less than when you're using, say, a traditional telephone network or a mobile telephone network. And that's because calls from one IP system to another IP system are very low in cost. And also, if you're making a call from an IP system to a traditional system, or from an IP system to a mobile telephone network, then those calls will be less because the section which is taking place over the internet will be costing you much less money. Another advantage is in the area of internal communications. Internal communications can often be free when you're using an IP system, or a very low cost. And it means that when you're communicating within a single building, so one employee to another employee to a contractor to another employee, those calls will be usually free or of very low cost. Or from that building to different sites within your organisation, those calls can also be made at very low cost. Significant savings can also be made if you use a single supplier for both your voice communications and your data communications. That supplier will often arrange a monthly contract, and that could be done either by your existing provider or by the telecom shop, because at the telecom shop we offer lines and calls as well as all the other services. Another area related to cost that's important to consider is the cost of the system going into the future, and also making sure that the system is always as effective as it can possibly be. And this is very easy with an IP system because the system is mostly provided by the software or by the cloud if it's a hosted PBX system. Then updates are very simple and cheap to do. So if there are updates being provided by your system provider, they can be done via the software or via the cloud. Also, if your requirements change and you want to try out different methods of using your communication system, those will also be easily done via the software or via the cloud. If your organisation grows, then those changes can also be made. And if you want further customisation, either at the start of your system being provided or as you go forward into the future, that can also be easily done via the software or via the cloud. As well as all the cost savings that can be made by using the internet to make telephone calls, there are other areas that can be improved, such as efficiency and effectiveness of your communication system. And one of the reasons for that is because the information that's provided by your telephone system can be integrated with your other management information systems, giving you really useful statistics. So you can get management statistics on things like call duration, call volume, and even on the individual performance of call handlers. So it helps you improve the effectiveness of your system, and that will help you improve customer service. Another great benefit of having an IP telephone system is the huge flexibility available when choosing the telephone numbers that you're going to use. And the first option would be to keep your existing number or numbers, and if those are working for you at the moment, then clearly that's probably the best way to go. But there are other choices. One of those choices is to have a single number which connects to different locations. So that number can connect to your head office or other sites that you have in your organisation. It can connect to people who are working from home. And it can also connect to people who are on the move. So one single number to connect to all your different employees, no matter where they are. Some providers can even give the possibility of using a single local number, which can make it look as though you're local, even though you might well be abroad. It's also possible to have a range of numbers. A range of numbers can give the impression of giving good geographic coverage for the organisation, so you can make it look as though you're rural, or central, or local, depending on what will be the most suitable image for the company, or you'd give the impression by the use of a range of numbers of having all of those facilities. Now, every device that's connected to a network anywhere will have its own unique identifier, and this is called its IP address. And the IP address is a little bit like having a postal address, and it means that data can be transmitted to and from that device. And when it comes to IP telephone systems, they will be given what looks like a traditional phone number instead of using their actual IP address. And this means not only does it look like you're calling a traditional number, but these numbers can communicate with both traditional public systems and with mobile networks. Another advantage of using the internet to make your telephone calls is the advanced telephony features that are available. Now, IP systems will have all the traditional facilities that you would expect, such as call forward and hold, but they will also offer easier and further features that would enhance your communications. So first of all, we're going to look at call recording. Call recording on an IP system is very straightforward, as it's using your existing data network. And there are a number of advantages of being able to record calls. And the first one is being able to give training and improve performance. So by the use of feedback, it's possible to give individual training to help individual call handlers improve their performance on the telephone. And that will, of course, enhance your customer's experience. Another advantage of being able to record calls is that if you were unfortunate enough to have any customer complaints or issues that needed to be resolved, you always have a record of the call that took place, and that means that this can really help with the resolution of any problems that a customer is having. Another huge advantage of having an IP telephone system is something called mobile twinning, and this is where your desk phone and your mobile phone can be twinned together, which means that wherever you are, whichever of them rings, you can answer either one of them and they will both stop ringing. You can also transfer between your desk phone and your mobile phone. So if you answer the call on your mobile but would rather answer at your desk, you can transfer to your desk phone. But if you answer it on your desk phone but you need to move about with the call, you can transfer it back to your mobile phone. You can also transfer the call to another person within your network. So if you're on your desk phone, as normal, you can transfer the call. But equally, if you're on your mobile, either in your workplace or elsewhere, you can still transfer to someone back within the system as if you were actually in the workplace. If neither of your phones are answered, then the system will treat the call as if it was a normal call. So whether you would have answered on your mobile or on your desk phone, it doesn't matter, it will just go back into the system to be dealt with as it would normally be dealt with. So either go into your hunt group or to go into a voicemail system. Other names for this facility are dynamic extension, personal call routing, and find me, follow me. Another great advantage of having an IP telephone system is the ability to link your telephone to Outlook on your computer. You have to make sure, of course, that you have the correct software and hardware to do this, but it is possible. It has a number of advantages, and the main one is to be able to link to your Outlook contacts. This means that all the incoming call details of people ringing you will come up on the computer screen. You can dial out direct from your Outlook address book, and you can also block incoming and outgoing calls as you require. Here at the Telecom Shop, we offer a wide range of equipment, including telephones, headsets and telephone systems, and these all are available individually. But we also offer them as part of packages. There are many set packages shown on our website, but we can also offer the facility to have a bespoke package put together that will suit your particular requirements. So we'd always be happy to talk to you. Any one of our experts would be happy to talk to you, and their details are available on our website. Thank you for watching, and we do hope you found this video informative.